Good morning. Happy Thursday. So I think we're on day 11 of our 30 days, and we're going to start to talk about habits. We're going to start to talk about creating habitual patterns, which is just a fancy way for saying habits, so that we don't have to think about putting ourselves in these particular states. Remember, I said yesterday, sow a thought, wreak an action, sow an action, wreak a habit, sow a habit, reap a character, sow a character, reap a destiny. One of the things we know that we have to manage our state, and we know that we have to manage our communication with ourselves. But the problem with that is that we have to think about it. So another way that we can do this is we can start to create these habits so that our body and our mind start getting into these patterns of activity, patterns of conduct, patterns of thought that create a situation where we're more often in these positive states. And that way we don't have to think about putting ourselves in a positive state. Because, remember, it's in the moment of decision that your destiny is shaped. That's what Tony Robbins says. Stephen Covey talks about the gap in between when something happens and your response. That's where your life is decided. Well, if we can condition ourselves to be in better states more often, then when that gap happens, we've got a much better chance of doing a positive response, as opposed to having to think about doing a positive response. So what we're going to talk about for the next couple of days is different sets of patterns that we can get into that will generally just put us into more positive states. It'll make you feel better. It'll make you respond better. It'll make you think about life in a different way. And remember, little changes over time become big changes. So the one that we're going to talk about today is questions. Now, when we start to think about something, when we evaluate something, how is it that we do that? When we think about, do we want this or do we not want that, or what do we want in our life, or even simple things like, what do I want to have, at a restaurant? We can go back to restaurants now. So what do I want to have for dinner? How do you do that when you're evaluating those things? Well, if you really stop and think about it, what you do is you ask yourself a question. What do I really want? What do I want to have tonight? Do I want to have this? Do I want to have that? What does this mean? That's a really good question to ask yourself. What does this mean to me? So questions are the way that we evaluate everything. It's how we think. What does this mean? Why did I do this? Something happens, there's an event. What happens in your head is, your question is, what does this mean? What's going to happen? And that's your way of thinking. So one of the great ways to get yourself into good habits is to start your day with a series of questions that empower you. A lot of times we get wrapped up into loops where we ask questions like, why is this happening to me? Why does this always happen to me? Why does it never work out for me? Why can't I ever get ahead? And these are endless loop questions. Why can't I ever lose weight? Okay, remember, whatever you ask your brain, it gives you an answer. And your brain doesn't know any difference between what you actually experience and what you vividly imagine. Those two things are identical in your head. That's why visualization is so powerful, because for your brain, it's actually happening. So when you ask questions like, why does this always happen to me? Your brain's going to give you an answer. And it's not going to be a good one, well, because you're a schmuck or something like that is what your brain's going to say. How come I can't lose weight? Well, because you have no self-discipline and you're a pig. Your brain's going to give you an answer to that question that doesn't help. And this is how we get into the cycle pattern of going down, where we start asking these bad questions and then we get bad results, and then we ask a worse question and then we get a bad result again, and it perpetuates itself. But we want to do the opposite, and you can do the opposite, where you ask an empowering question, you get a better result. Then you ask another empowering question, and that's the cycle of success. How do the rich get richer? Because they approach money differently and they ask different questions. They don't say, where can I go get a job to make money in order to go on a trip? They say, where can I go start a business so that the business can generate money, and then I can buy an asset, and then the income off of that asset will make it so that I can go on as many vacations as I want. They think differently because they ask different questions. So what I'm going to encourage you today is to start a habit of asking yourself morning questions. And I did this for years and years and years, And then I incorporated it into my mission statement and my primary question, but that was after years of doing morning questions. And I actually still have them up in my bathroom. They're sitting on a shelf, and I look at them every day. But you should create a series of positive questions that you start with every day, and you look at them and you actually take a minute to ask the question and feel the feelings. So rather than getting up and hopping on social media and seeing what other people are doing, you could wake up and then watch this, because this is a great way to start your day. But then ask yourself questions like, what am I excited about in my life right now? And if your brain says nothing, then you can say, okay, what could I be excited about in my life right now if I really wanted to? And then at the end of each of these questions, you want to ask yourself, and how does that make me feel? And really take a minute and feel the feelings of the response to that. What am I happy about right now in my life? And again, if your brain says nothing, okay, what could I be happy about? Because believe me, there's a ton that you could be happy about. And if you cannot find anything, message me and I will show you 29 people's lives who have gone through way more than you are. My cat is having a good time this morning. And you can see that you actually do have a lot of things to be happy about in your life. So what could I be happy about? And how does that make me feel? What am I grateful for in my life right now? What could I be grateful for? Yes, I know the cat is doing something, Marley. Who do I love and who loves me? What are the opportunities that I have in my life? And how does that make me feel? So every day, figure out 4 or 5 questions, and then every day ask yourselves these questions and make sure you ask, and how does that make me feel? And what that does is it starts to program your brain. These are the things to think about and focus on as you start your day every day, and actually feel the feelings from doing that. It's going to be a completely different experience for you for starting your day. So that's habit number 1. We're going to talk about a lot of other habits as we keep going. Today's Thursday, I think. So we're going to continue like through the weekend, but over the next about week, we're going to do other habits or other ways that you can start changing your state and working on that gap. State management is everything, and it's in the moment of your decision that your destiny is made, and these little things become big things. So write down 3 questions and start starting each day, or 5, let's do 5, and start starting each day with your 5 questions to put yourself in a great state as you approach the new day. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other.